Cheers, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Michigan Bros Grows Show. It is episode 271, and I have the hiccups. Someone else take it from here. I'll put this on you, Nuttree.
271. Here we go. It's March 2nd. We're going into the spring here. Weather's changing. You guys got any plants ready? Get some little clones going, maybe for outside. Get them going here.
Outdoor. I barely even thought about that yet. Holy smokes!
Our weather is not changing in Michigan at all.
I'm waiting for the ground.
fall.
Maybe wait till
it's
Easter.
still frozen.
Mother's Day. I think people do wait till after Mother's Day to plant their first.
That's usually a good.
It was usually a good day.
Yeah,
maybe you got to prepare, get things cleaned up, maybe get ready too, so that way you're prepared when time comes. How's that?
To be fair, yeah, you're right. There's definitely some warm enough days coming up where we can get some outdoor work done. I was trying to get some done today, and it was so cold. Yesterday was so cold and windy. Felt like it was like 1 degree Fahrenheit outside. Today was a little bit better with some sunshine, less wind, but it's still freaking cold out there, man. I know we got some like high 40s, maybe 50s coming in the forecast this week, but that ain't thawing it yet.
Emily, we're talking about maybe starting pepper like from seed. Some of the vegetable stuff like peppers that take a long time to germinate. Sometimes you gotta give them a lot of heat or something. We're talking
and your herbs.
Yeah, and herbs. Maybe some flowers too. I don't know. We started talking about it, so we're thinking about it. The wheels of motions are starting to turn a little bit.
I busted out our whole seed bank today just to dust it off, literally dust it off, and look at it and be like, it's about time.
Tell you, chicken sales at my work are going crazy right now. People are all about getting new chickens and wanting to start with brand new first timers. I'm helping customers, show them what kind of lamps to buy, and
it's chicken season.
A lot of people wanting to get eggs right away too. They expect maybe eggs to just come out.
See you guys in 6 months. In the meantime, hit up your boy for Groli or Red Setter Farm.
The chicken's
only
the size
$30 a dozen.
The chicken's the size of an egg. It's gonna take a little while to produce something that big.
Yeah.
When you buy those little chickens, they're like these little pipsqueaks. They're about the size of an egg when it comes out. We got some big eggs. One of our chickens produces some like duck egg looking eggs.
Nice.
Giant eggs.
Yeah.
We don't get many.
They squawk so loud, make all that noise.
Every now and then. I know exactly why they're squawking so loud. Yeah, dude.
When I go to pick them up, I know right where to go. We're going to find them at. They're the loudest.
I watched something earlier about duck eggs.
Huge.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like bigger, and ducks will lay through the winter and stuff. Yeah. But have any of you guys eaten a duck egg before?
I don't know if I've ever.
Have you ever had a hard-boiled duck egg?
It's got a bigger yolk.
Unknowingly.
I just want to know how that tastes compared to a regular chicken hard-boiled egg.
Have you ever had duck meat?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
duck
have
meat is
very the stuffing of a turducken.
Close enough, sort of. Duck meat is very like greasy and rich. It's very fatty, and so it has this kind of sheen to it that chicken doesn't, right? The same thing goes for their eggs. They're very rich in flavor, and baking, they're much bigger. And yes, you're right. They're not only great for baking, but they're also great for frying. And we did a lot of fried zucchini and duck eggs. We found that to be phenomenal. Unfortunately, we lost our ducks to a mink, so we no longer have duck eggs. But the chickens are certainly happy with the weather changes over here, and they were all up on our porch laying eggs today. We had like 3 or 4 eggs out there today. Unfortunately, at the same time, this is high season for raccoons and opossums and all those little shits that like to fuck with your chickens. Excuse me. And so we actually, I had to take a dead chicken that was missing a significant amount of its insides and its entire face out of our coop today, because a raccoon got in there little late last night.
Damn face stealers.
Yeah, man, and
Well,
not happy about
other
that.
chickens
That's why we
want
keep
that.
a thick herd or thick, you know, level
Wait,
of
they like
chickens
space.
on our coop because we don't want to feel the damage of losing one. But it sucks, and now we are charging up the nighttime raccoon hunting gear.
That's what's gross about some of those animals is they'll go in and they'll just like bite their throat out, lick their blood, and leave them there. And then the other
Minks.
other chickens will go in and just pick at them, pick at the dead.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
this.
We didn't get there yet. I mean, they're pretty well fed. Although I'm pretty sure they also enjoyed eating our chicken feed that was inside the coop at the same time. So there's got to restock that. But I walked in there and all the chickens were way up high, and sometimes they're sitting low and medium heights, but they were way up high. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. And I looked around, I didn't see anything actually. I just saw a couple black feathers, and so I'm like, all right, well, maybe the roosters did their job or whatever and scared it off. But and I went in there today and actually realized it was sitting there, like kind of behind the feeder, or like just wouldn't have seen it at night, I guess. And yeah, it is what it is. But I know there's more chickens at your local Tractor Supply as of today or yesterday or whatever, so such is life, I guess. It's better than buying $7, $8, $9, $10 a dozen at the store, man. This shit's crazy right now. It's like I feel like
You can buy the chicken. You can buy the baby chicks for cheaper than you can buy the dozen eggs.
Oh yeah.
Just gotta wait 4-6 months or whatever, right, Red?
Yeah, I mean, better off waiting until next year. In Michigan, I mean, by the time you're going to start getting eggs, they're going to slow down production.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
top
true,
that
man.
Michigan-based company though, Family Home instead of Tractor Supply. Shop Michigan.
Yeah, that's
There
our
you go.
local like hardware store. Good old Ace Hardware, right next to a farm family home.
Love a good Ace Hardware.
Yeah. Well, I just mean right next to you got the two options right there, and usually Ace Hardware doesn't have all of the farm stuff. So,
But every once in a while, they'll have a rack of shotguns that you can go purchase, and that's always fun.
Man, that's my dry ice hook up. Ace Hardware hooks it up.
No shit. What are they charging for dry ice, and what kind of dry ice you getting?
I get rice. I get
Oh,
my
shit.
choice of rice or pellets, and it's less. It's like 85 cents a pound.
Not bad. That's really not bad at all. That's a quarter of the cost of Meyer.
Yeah, Myers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Highway robbery, and they give you a block.
Yeah, it's a bullshit block.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I like the rice, honestly. Oh, they're both okay. I can use either, but I prefer the rice if I get that. And the guy there always hooks me up. I think he knows I'd be a cannabis dude, and he's trying to impress me.
Oh, they all know. I mean, unless you're rolling up with a fucking ice cream truck, they know what you're doing.
What? I'm making my cooler cold so I can drive up north for the weekend.
We're doing science experiments. It's fun. Look at the sublimation of the carbon dioxide.
I got a fucking I got a keg I want to keep cold. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, that will freeze everything but the alcohol in that keg. Trust me.
They don't need to know that shit.
Yeah, it works. You know what though? On a serious note, it's even if you go to Meijer, it's worth it to grab a block of dry ice for those long camping trips.
Yeah, it is.
Because ice is sweet, and I know there's really cool $400 coolers out there that claim to hold the ice for like a week or whatever. And honestly, some of them kind of do, but dry ice actually keeps things much colder for much longer. You might want to put a buffer in there, be like a towel or something like that, because it will freeze whatever it's touching. Whatever that's touching will eventually freeze too. But hey, you know what? If you're not concerned about it freezing, guess what? The frozen steak that you pulled out of your freezer to put in your cooler to bring with you on your camping trip, and you wanted to eat on day 2, but now it's day 4 and you haven't got to it, it's probably still frozen or at least good to go. Same goes with that chili, the freaking water bottles, whatever else you got.
I was impressed with going to events. We took a cooler that we had our concentrates in, and we put dry ice in the bottom. We put a piece of cardboard in so they kind of make a bridge to kind of hold them up above it so they didn't freeze solid, and then put them above it, like 2 or 3 layers above it, and they stayed cold for 2-3 days.
Oh yeah,
it was beautiful.
Just be careful
how long would you
when
need
you're.
No, go ahead.
No, you.
Oh, mine's not on that topic. I was wondering.
Okay,
how
well, on
long-
that topic, don't drive too long with too much dry ice in your car, even if it's in a cooler, even if it's in an airtight cooler, which the lid might pop open eventually, but that displaces oxygen. So I actually had someone that used to work with me that would pick up the dry ice, and very early on, he didn't realize that you should probably crack a window if you got a couple 100 pounds of dry ice in your trunk, you know, and actually had to pull over on the expressway to air out his car because he felt like he was being suffocated. And in fact, that's what was happening.
Wow.
CO2 will displace the oxygen in the room and can suffocate you. So be very careful and use it only in vented environments. Sorry to cut you off. Oh, what's up?
That's
No.
a really good piece of knowledge.
Yeah, that's good for everyone to know. I was just wondering how
question.
long did you have to hold dry ice until you started to get frostbite?
Not very long.
I wouldn't want to find out. I've probably only gone a few seconds. You know, sometimes you drop a pellet and it gets stuck in your crock in between your sock and the top, and you're like, freaking hey man, it's in there, it's in there. You kick off your crock and the dry ice goes flying, but it, hurts less, so it's okay. I actually don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, it can't be probably longer than like a minute or two. I know exposure to negative, like single digit negative, just your skin exposure in the outdoors, like that can take 30 minutes or something, or less I should say. So if we're talking negative 40 degrees or so, direct contact, yeah, it's probably a couple of minutes maybe. You're gonna at least damage some nerves probably before you even do that.
It seems like as soon as you touch it, like I'll scoop some up with a cup and just your fingertip touches it and it stings right away.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take long to fuck you up. I don't know. I don't have the scientific for it, but it's cold as shit.
I use when I handle it, and I know they make cryogenic gloves that you can even order from Uline, but speaking of Farm and Home, Tractor Supply, something like that, they make these essentially cowhide. They're like leather, but not cool, sleek leather. It's just like rough, like cowhide gloves, and they're probably like $10-15 a pair, but those actually work very, very well. They don't like translate the temperature very quickly, like metal or water or something like that does. It actually like insulates it, and so you can grab handfuls of dry ice and transport them from one bucket to another or something if you need to.
Like welding gloves or something.
Yeah, sure, that'd probably work too. Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of gloves you have on hand. Like even I wouldn't use like your winter gloves that have like the thin, thinsulate layer or just a thin outer polyester layer or something like
polyester.
that. Yeah, because that will like literally just crack and break right through it. But if you have like
I'm using nothing. So
I'm thinking of hot. I'm thinking of hot, and I'm thinking they're gonna melt to your hands. I'm envisioning the polyester glove melting, and that's not what dry ice does. So never mind.
Well, we're not
opposite.
our
they
hand,
get brittle probably.
Right, we're using a cup to scoop it up and then dumping it into.
I would still have.
I would get an ice scooper. Honestly, it's the best way in my opinion, and get one of the like heavy duty plastic ones that they make for like restaurants. I know we've talked about like restaurant equippers and restaurant. The warehouse place or whatever online that you can order this stuff from. It's literally like a $2 or $3 blue plastic scooper. I just broke mine, but that has been living in my dry ice bucket for like 5 or 6 years without any issue. So some people get the metal ones. I definitely recommend against that. Yeah, because that will hold the cold, and especially without gloves, you'll just be grabbing, negative
fingers
40
will stick
degree.
to it.
Yeah, you ever licked a pole?
Yeah, not fun.
Below freezing, good luck.
I have a metal cup. I thought that'd be a good idea first. Like, this will hold up. Nice metal cup. Nope.
Yeah, put a freaking foam handle on it, maybe, but
yeah, a beer koozie on it. You're all set.
Yeah. Yeah, I like my ice scoopers. I got to get a new one though. I just broke it, and it's like kind of flimsy, and it's frustrating now.
I use a party cup. Plastic little solo cup.
Red Solo.
I've done that too. It's just you break them eventually, and
Oh, then you have to replace
Well,
that
for
costly.
$3, you can
That's
get
what I'm
a 50 pack.
saying. Well, then I'm just gonna want to drink out of them. And,
Well, for a little bit more money, you can get something to put in them. To drink.
yeah, I heard it's 85 cents a pound.
We found out a new technique that we haven't tried yet, but we're going to when it comes to like post processing, I guess you call it with RSO. So after you in the RSO process, after you dump out the alcohol that's been infusing with the cannabis and you filter out the cannabis, you have this infused alcohol, but then you're left with this cannabis, right? This cannabis that's been soaking. You take that cannabis and you put it in a container or vessel. You fill it with water, of all things, and you do a water soak and pull out water solubles, and then you boil them off just like you would alcohol, and collect that resin. And it's supposed to be more narcotic than the RSO itself. So I'm excited to try that and see.
What kind of water soluble what's the word I'm looking for? Solutions are you collecting? You know what I mean? Like, is it terpenes? Is it cannabinoids?
You're saying give me a name of everything that's you're gonna pull.
No. What are you going after though? You know what I mean? Like, do you have any idea what's in there? Is it a high cannabinoid thing? Is it a high terpene thing?
Doesn't even fucking test stuff, dude. What are you talking about? I just fucking want to see.
But you smoke it. Did you smoke it yet? You haven't tried it yet, have you?
No, I haven't tried it yet, and I'm not gonna smoke it. I'm gonna just take it as an edible like form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like it's supposed to be a resin, kind of like RSO. So I'm excited.
I mean, I don't see why not. It's kind of like eating all the meat off of a cow and not using the hide at all. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot there that you can still probably take advantage of, and I bet you a water soak would probably get a lot of it. I just don't know what's in it. You know?
Yeah, but I know that's all cannabis, so there's nothing for me to be afraid of, and. I read it from a pretty reputable site, so I'm excited to try it and see what it is.
You're probably gonna get a bunch of chlorophyll and because you're not gonna be able to get the temperature as low as
Like
an iceless wash or something.
It's a room
Well, actually,
temperature.
it's a room temperature soak for the water portion.
So that might pull some chlorophyll.
and other things along with that. But I mean, that's the point, right? I mean, that's the point. So,
It's like
that's
a
just
final
gonna
wash, right?
That's just part of what's going to be in it,
That's just one last extraction that I didn't know I could do.
I mean that's what you do with everything else. I mean, why not do that? I mean, that's what you do with thyme. That's what you do with every other botanical that you're going to make a tincture and an oil and I mean, there's three types of.
Yeah.
There's three types. There's oil, water, and alcohol, right? And I mean, generally you do all three, and there's an order of operations that you do them in.
Wait, how do you know what order to do it in?
Because you're pulling out what's soluble first.
Molecular weights.
So I would go oil first.
So for the St. John's wort, am I just doing a tincture for that, or would I do
I would
all
look
three?
up what they do. I would look at
Because
what
it's
they
a
do.
tincture for that.
Yeah.
But do I want to do all three of it when I pull it then, or do I just want to do tincture?
It depends on the things that are soluble on that material, the starting material.
Yeah.
Right? Because if everything's fat soluble versus things that might be alcohol
Oh.
soluble, you know what I mean?
Okay, I
So
understand.
that's why you're using those solvents, is because they dissolve different things at different temperatures.
Okay.
That's why like hydrocarbons, right? They work really well. Like butane works really well for extracting terpenes and cannabinoids. But what works even better for extracting terpenes is I almost said pentane. Wow, why am I drawing a blank? Butane.
Hexane?
No. That's good
Propane?
for cleaning it. Yes, propane. Wow, I knew it was a P. That thing we have in every single grill.
One of the three majors that's not CO2. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, fuck CO2, by the way. Yeah, but it's just like those are solvents that are really good at dissolving cannabinoids and terpenes, and not things like chlorophyll and fats and lipids and this other stuff at certain temperatures, you know. So when you start dialing in different variables, right, and you can kind of hone in on like, all right, I want the fat soluble stuff. Now I'm going to do this kind of like, you can think of it as a wash, right? I want the fat soluble wash, I want the alcohol soluble wash, and now I want the water soluble wash. And you're definitely going to get different things. You're going to get different levels of things. Some things are going to come out in all three of them, probably, right? But yeah, it kind of gives you a way to just refine. It's kind of a post-processing technique of refining what you're trying to concentrate, really.
Yeah, and cannabis specifically, if you're after THC and most of the other cannabinoids, you're dealing with lipids themselves. They're not whatever molecules that attach to water, you know, that's just not what they are. They're more like fats, terpenes. Most of the terpenes in the plant are even on that same fat realm, and they're gonna bond to things like butter, milk, you know, oils, and then alcohol and other stuff like that is more of a stripping and a solvent type of a thing. And
what would you call water? Almost like a carrier, right? It's not even like it's
well,
not
they're all
doing a
they're all
very-
the oil would be a carrier as well.
I know, but it's not like an aggressive like stripping agent, you know. It's just like, oh, like, come along for the party, you know.
Yeah, and generally, well, with alcohol, I mean, with all of them, probably depending on how you're able to store your material and your salt. It's all a solvent. Whether I don't know if you consider oil a solvent in that sense. I mean, I guess so. I mean, it's
Pretty
stripping.
much anything you're dissolving something into, I think that's going to be a solvent.
So whatever kind of it in.
Oh, Red, you're getting beamed up, man.
Is it just me that keeps disappearing? Is it just
Yeah,
me
it's
again?
just
Or is
you,
it all
man.
of us? Do we all keep?
Beam me up, Scotty.
Just
Mostly
your-
just you.
but you've caught up now. It seems like you're back to moving again.
Am I having
We're
some
doing it
signal
with you in
issues?
spirit.
Oh, son of a bitch.
But you're good now.
We're here.
But yeah,
we're
I
here for
mean,
you.
everything's gonna dissolve at different methods. Every molecule is different. I know nothing about chemistry. I just understand a little bit about tinctures and
No, I
oils.
understand when you take the acid form of THC and you burn it, you get just THC instead of THCA. That's chemistry, so I know a little bit.
And that is the goal, ladies and gentlemen. This show can now end after 271 episodes. I think we figured it out.
It's
But that thank you, Spartan, because that's kind of what I was getting distracted with all the bleeps and blurps, them disappearing, and that's what I was kind of getting at is cold storage. I'm wanting to say cold carrying, but like cold extraction. Like some things just don't work as well as others. You need time to do it, right? If you really want to do it with water, I mean, you want to heat up your water. To what extent? You know what I mean? To what extent do you want to heat your water at? You know what I mean? Do you want to cook some things off? Do you not? Or do you want to just let it sit on the shelf for upwards of how long? You know, with oils and stuff, I mean, it's upwards 6 months, a year. You know what I mean? For maximum, you know, how long do you want to sit? You know, for alcohol, I mean, a day, minutes. I mean, not long at all. For butane and shit like that, seconds. I mean, for Gurley, what's your contact time with something like a gaseous solvent? Like,
Well, it's
hexane or
not gaseous
propane.
in the state that I'm utilizing it. It's liquid. So
what's the contact time in the liquid state that it's like? How long does it like run over the product? Is it because I soak
typically-
alcohol and RSO for anywhere from, you know, a couple hours to 24 hours.
Again, this is very dependent on temperature ranges and things of that nature, among a variety of other things. But strictly for me and my process, I'm typically doing pretty much a 20-minute soak and then like 2 10-minute soaks. and with the ability to have ball valves both at the top and at the bottom of my closed loop system, or the materials column, I should say, I'm able to soak all the material with my hydrocarbons, and then at any given point, kind of release them. I can continue to soak them. I can be done at that point. I can,
Okay. So
do
I'm
several
thinking
soaks, so-
it's just like a waterfall. Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
straight on
some
through.
people operate like that. I like to be able to control mine a little bit more and be able to soak if I want to.
Yeah.
I think there is value in that, especially when it comes to like how broken down the material is, how compacted the column is, how much material is in the column. Again, there's a lot of
So
other things.
similarly, it just like with alcohol, you can let it sit for a couple minutes to hours to days. You can let this touch it for seconds to minutes to an hour.
I would almost, it's somewhere in between that and like the solventless hash washing process, right? Like, because the gentleman we spoke to 2 nights ago on the podcast, he does like I think it was like a 6 or 7 second wash as his initial wash, right? And that's quite literally just to clean the shit off, right? So if
Yeah.
there's bugs, there's cobwebs, there's hair, there's something like that, like, right? It's just clean that shit off. And then he goes into the process of like collecting his trichomes and whatnot. You could theoretically do the same thing with hydrocarbons. It's just like it's a balance, but here's the thing. I could soak for not at all, just run it like a waterfall. I could soak for literally 2 days. As long as I'm able to keep that temperature balanced and consistent, I'm not going to have any change in the quality, so to speak, of my product. There might be some minor change in the quantity, the return on, the soak or the solvent versus material ratio.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
That's why I like to do a
Contact
minor
time,
soak.
you're able to pull more or
Right. But
it's
if I was to
immediately
do that,
available.
and like there's a lot of different things here. So I could use chilled solvent, do a waterfall, probably get the same result as having a chilled column and soaking. If I were to use a room temperature solvent, not chill the column and waterfall it, it could come out looking like a food grade oil. So it's like the temperature is just as much. It's actually more important than the contact time, I would say, because in terms of the quantity or the quality, sorry, but in terms of the quantity, higher temperature, bigger returns. You know what I mean? You're just getting more what I would call contaminant, like fats and lipids, chlorophyll, and everything else. So there's just so many freaking caveats and variables to this that it's like it's not just contact time. It's not just the way you soak or not soak. It's not, it's the whole process.
Temperature is one of the most important things almost. It's crazy how much temperature can make, because it'll make some things not soluble in your solvent, just temperature alone.
That's true too, especially in like an alcohol, right? I think that's probably one of the most
especially
the smallest range in terms of how drastically it can change, right? Like with hydrocarbons, we're talking 50 to 100 degrees is making that big difference. With alcohol, I feel like it could be like 10 degrees, maybe 20 degrees, I'm not so sure on water. I know it's a massive difference.
There's a huge difference in chlorophyll pull based on
with water,
with the temperature range. So like leaving
just in
material with alcohol, with alcohol and like whatever water contents in the alcohol, it's pulling the chlorophyll or whatever's going on there.
The colder you keep it, the better off you are when it comes to that.
Yeah, because if I tried storing material and alcohol outside when it was like, I don't know, it was like 15 degrees out or something. Now the freezer's 0, right? And I generally get a really good light green tincture when I'm mixing the when I'm straining the alcohol away from the material. Because I usually keep material and alcohol in the freezer, which is 0 degrees. Outside it was, it was like 15 degrees, so I stuck the cooler out back and I stuck material and alcohol. The freezer was full. So stuck material out there thinking it would be cold enough. And I pulled a lot more green tincture, than I normally would with leaving it in the freezer. And I mean, it's still freezing temperature. It never, we didn't go above freezing in Michigan from like December through the end of February. So we barely crept above freezing last week. And we crept up there today a little bit. But anyways, can't really do it anymore. I really wanted to make hash, but it was just not happening this year. Do some outside hash sessions, or never really even got cold enough in the garage. Our garage is attached to the house and it's not heated or anything, but water doesn't freeze out there. It's just enough insulation, thermal, I don't know, surroundings from the structure itself to not freeze out there. So it's a nice cold room. It's a nice cold space. Not good enough for hash. I'd like to do some back porch hashing.
Dude, that sounds miserable. Do you wear like
That's
gloves
what I
and
mean.
stuff? Like,
No,
do you
that's what I
have
mean.
Technical hands, or are you allowed to have some thick ass gloves on at least?
That's why I haven't done it, because it sounds so miserable.
Oh.
It's so cold. It's been too cold. We haven't had that happy medium of like it's just cold and freezing. It's been just like 0
windy.
degrees. Yeah, it's just been 0 degrees and snowing and precipitation, and now it's about to rain. We're about to get some. Our yard's the complete opposite. Like it's frozen back there, but every time it thaws out a little bit, it's totally saturated. It's completely saturated. The garden space is kind of nice, except the areas that are pathways and walkways are a bit compacted and holding water. So those, some of the low spots are. Our greenhouse was actually flooded. That's the highest point of the yard. It was like the rest of the yard was just kind of flowing downhill and caught all into the greenhouse, and the greenhouse was totally saturated. Pretty wild to see. I've never seen I've lived here for 10 years. I've never seen it this wet,
Yeah, I was outside today too. Same thing. It's like fucking walking on a sponge out there.
Super wet, dude.
Yeah.
Like the water table is at the surface. It's so wild.
My ground's still frozen, man.
It's frozen, but when it thaws, we got that really nice dip. Today it was frozen.
There's
It was 50 degrees the other day.
maybe like a mile
Out
down the
here.
road from me. There's a real low point, and it's like just a fenced-in area for like cows and whatnot. And when it rains a lot, it gets really flooded in this particular spot, and the cows love it. Quite frankly, they splash around, make a mess or whatever. But I noticed that this weekend, that even though the ground's still frozen, which is probably why the water's not draining, all that snow that did melt into that low area, and now it's flooded, but it's like slushy. It's like a 7-Eleven slushy frozen kind of wet weirdness. I don't know. It's interesting to see that happen
Cow
in
mud bog now.
February. Yeah. Yeah, cows are going ice skating or something. I don't know.
We've got our compost on the south side of the yard, so it faces north, so it doesn't get the sun. It's getting shadow of the fence, which is great in the summertime because I want it to stay cool. But in the wintertime, it's the north face, it stays frozen through spring. What's up, Tara? So no compost for us. Cheers, Tara. Welcome to the
Cute
party.
little costume change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
In with one, out with the other.
Nuttree, you changed.
Drastically.
How
Hopefully for the better.
are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
I'm good.
I'm glad
Doing
you're off
great.
work. Sick of
I'm
work.
about to go check and make sure that Becca and the baby are doing good. Got to make sure Becca's gotten her dinner going. So I'll be right back, guys.
How's work going, Tara?
Good. I was at my other job tonight, but I'll be back in Cincinnati.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
lose another one.
lost another one. Troy went and pulled the plug. That'd be funny.
Yeah. Oh, you think that's Troy, huh?
9 in the morning. Going to
Oh,
Oh, you're back.
stupid internet. Yeah, he's got this janky internet. I don't know what it's in and out. I don't know. I've never even heard of this internet he's got, so I don't know what.
that's some
But no,
country
works
shit
good.
right there.
We're super busy. Yeah. We've got fresh frozen tomorrow, so it'll be a day of taking tables down and cutting bud.
All right, I want to hear your fresh frozen tips. Walk me through your process.
Home process or work process?
I'm actually
I
more
could say
curious
that.
about your home process, but I want to hear the work process first.
The work process is
You know,
easier.
I
You just tell a bunch of people to do it. Like, you go do that.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that I'm not going to do anything that I'm not going to ask of you what I'm not going to, I'll do it myself right there with you. So
Right.
I probably pretty much do the same at home as I do at work. I'm very kind of conscientious of the bud. I do not take my hands and rip it down the stalk to bucket that way. I use scissors. I definitely, if we haven't got to defoliate it, some of the times, depending on where we are, what's going on with the plants, we might not have gotten in there to defoliate it all the way. So we might need to do a little defoliation before we cut the buds. Definitely like to go around and trim sugar leaves. I try to trim off the tips and just leave sugar.
So do you assembly line process it, or do you have everyone doing kind of the same thing throughout the room at the same time?
Yeah, we've got people that are we've got designated cutters that'll go in, take everything down, and then bring it on out to us. And we've got a table set up in a U, and we just kind of work together. We'll each they'll come out and bring, me and 4 or 5 others a plant, and then we all just divvy it up between us until we get kicking. So once they get bringing down, they start bringing them down a lot faster than what we definitely kick it into gear and get it going. But yeah, it's a process, and then we've got compliance that's there helping us, weighing everything, stuffing bags, getting it in the deep freeze and getting that stuff ready. So yeah, it is kind of.
Are you guys vacuum sealing it or putting it in turkey bags?
They're vacuum sealing it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we've been letting it sit a little bit and then sealing it up, and then getting it. We've got real big walk-in freezers, so but we do also have chest freezers too, just in case we get too backed up or we've got a lot, because we have been doing a lot of fresh frozen here lately.
Is it all going to rosin? Where's it?
Carts. We've got carts that just came out. We've got edibles that just. Oh, I've actually got a pack of those. Oh, darn it! I should have brought those. Darn.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, I've got them in my bag in the other room. I'll run and get them here in a second.
Yeah, I'd love to see them.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're a sour I like to say a sour orange flavored. I haven't tried enough of them to get an effect. Taste wise, they. More bad. I wasn't, upset with it. Sometimes I'll turn my nose up to them when they're really icky. But no, these are pretty tasty, and I like the sour part of it.
So it's a gummy, I assume?
Yeah, a little gumdrop looking.
Nice.
Nice and small and not a real big piece. But yeah, so those came out. We've got distillate carts. We've got actually a diamond cart coming out here soon. And it's... I haven't got to see that one yet.
Yeah, what the hell is a diamond cart?
I don't know.
Is it the liquid diamonds? Is that what
That's
they're...
proprietary information for growers.
Yeah, I think it might.
I didn't sign the NDA.
Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
The only ones that I've seen are the disposable.
I'm going to assume it's the quote unquote liquid diamonds, where they're just decarbing the diamond portion of it and
Yeah, I don't
making
know. I don't know. I've tasted the rosin ones and a couple of the distillate ones, and they've been really tasty. The blueberry muffin is phenomenal.
nice.
So good. It always is total great representation of blueberry muffin. And I had the live resin of that, very terpy, really nice. Strength wise, it's blueberry muffin for me. It's not up here for me. It's nice, just all around smoke, get you through the day kind of thing. Shh. But the one that I really liked, and darn it, the dog barking just made me forget the name of it. Frosted Enigma, if I can say it right. I had the rosin of that. That is wow, just berry on steroids. That was so tasty. I was really, really happy with that one. It's the first one that I've been really happy with.
Enigma.
But
Riddle
the
me this.
bud, we're getting ready to bring that down. We just brought some down, and it smelled really grapey. So it
Okay.
came out real berry in the rosin. So,
Nice.
Nice.
but the last batch we just brought down was, I thought, very grapey smelling myself.
Well, you're certainly the person to ask about this, and I think Spartan could probably chime in too, because I'm not the lineage genetics seed guy. I'm the guy over here growing the same shit for 7-8 years. But I just saw that Chuck D's Nugs is in chat, and he hooked it up with a little gift of a seed pack that I think him and I are gonna pop both together at the next full moon, which is in like 10 to 12 days. And I'm curious to know what you guys think about a little something out of a brand new box.
So
It's
far.
Ooh,
Big juicy.
juicy. What is
Mimosa
that,
crossed with the
mimosa?
Last Supper.
What's the last supper?
That's what I was saying.
That mimosa is stank ass. Usually, it comes out. I don't know what the Last Supper is, but that mimosa is usually definitely a good one.
I think that he said Last Supper was an exotic cross, maybe, or one of them in the Last Supper strain is an exotic cross.
No, it's
Yeah, I
Last
mean-
Supper is by Soulfire. It's a
Yeah, I don't think
cross
you
of
can
God's
say.
Flower and Bahama Mama.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's Bahama Mama. That's the exotic cross.
God's Flower is a cut of exotic genetics Gouda berry.
There you go. Which is
Oh.
Rainbow Chip and Red Pop.
So God's Flower and Bahama Mama. We grew that Bahama Mama, didn't we, or something like that? Yeah.
We actually, Dan did, and then they grew it at Freedom Green too. I was good.
So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. That might be I don't have like a full 2025 fetal hunt plan, but that might be the start of it right there at least.
Yeah.
So shout out to
think
Chuck.
so.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see. We
I've never grown any Soulfire, so here we go.
we just loaded up the flower room at the Checkham Forge with Hash Church. Bakes loaded up the flower room. I wasn't in there. Hash Church crosses. So the Sunday Driver, Hash Church, and what was the
I'm
other one?
stoked for that one.
Me too.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool.
And then behind that, I guess we're gonna do. We got a package of Donny Burger. We're gonna pop another pack of Donny Burger,
Hell yeah.
and it's just gonna be a funk run, a bunch of GMO-y stuff, and so that's gonna be cool. That's good. So funk
Nice.
coming up behind the Hash Church stuff.
You ever gonna get him off the GMO, or do you think that's never gonna happen?
No, he might get himself off of it, but it's never gonna be me. If that's what he likes, I want him to grow with the shit he wants. Man.
Yeah.
Now, don't you start spouting them words here, or am I going to get my fix?
Sorry.
No,
I'm
we
gonna
are.
tell him to grow all cherry. What was it?
We were talking today that we might even be getting a cloning operation going. So that'd be interesting to see if
Yeah.
there's some other people that we know that we're friends with that would want to do that.
Why
for a little bit. We're like, why
why-
not do that?
Yeah.
Well, why not do a tissue culture? Why don't you just go all the way, man?
Mm.
Well, if somebody else wants to do it, I'm okay with that.
You got the space. Set up a fucking
If
lab.
somebody else wants to come in there and do it, is what I'm saying. I'm not going to do that.
We'll find someone for you. Don't you worry.
Sitting right here.
There you go.
I was just thinking, I was like, I'm pretty sure we're just waiting for the cold room to finish.
There you go.
So who knows? Someday.
Red Setter, how is your variety of new strains in the last year coming along? You've been able to whittle them down. You trying to at all, or are you just exploring everything that's out there?
I need to whittle them down. I'm down to a couple of the rainbow belts that I feel like are keepers. I kind of like. I'm gonna see. A couple of them just don't have flavor. I just don't feel like they're there. The Durban Margie is probably gonna be the main keeper. I'm gonna end up calling a lot out of the garden. I was thinking today of like just a few that we can just go down to and just keep regularly. Like even some stuff that I really like grape jelly, super grape soda terps. It's almost like a fermented grape, almost like a wine, especially now that it's cured up. But really popular in the summer, and then we grew, I don't know, like a 4x4 of it. not even that much, and we've been sitting on it and like
How's
full.
it cure? Does it cure fine too? Like, does it lose anything after a longer cure, or does it get better, or how does
It almost smells a little more of a fermented grape,
Okay,
you know.
more whiny then.
More winey, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Especially on the long side of the cure. But it's like the one that's been holding back the longest, sitting the longest. There's a few like I really like the vanilla gorilla and the PB souffle. Like the PB souffle has almost got this tobacco type of a note to it.
Really?
It's really spicy. It's got the spice to it. It reminds me of like a chewing tobacco or something. All of the blue steel were really, really nice, really mentholy in the smoke, in the fragrance, and then like it was really fruity and floral and almost fruit punch, blueberry. And the smoke's just super menthol. It's really nice. Really frosted, spear like flowers, like just chunky, too big, too big for outdoor, too big for indoor in a high humidity climate. Let me think. The vanilla gorilla is really nice, but it's just almost like a less purple version of the strawberries and cream, less fruity version of it, in the sense that it's cookies and cream backed, and in the sense that it's just more cookies and cream. Vanilla gorilla has like a slight hint of like a Gorilla Glue. It's Grease Monkey, cookies and cream, and then Grease Monkey is Gorilla Glue and cookies and cream. So there's a lot of cookies and cream in it. Strawberries and cream is
a creamy vanilla tasting.
kinda not. Nah, it's like Gorilla Glue and like I don't know. It's hard. Like it's more like cookies and cream. Like it's more has that like cakey, more cakey. Let me say that. Yeah, that's more of a better description. So it's more like glue and cake, like something like that. So I'm assuming that those baby screaming sounds that's my headphones. That's probably my microphone as well. Is that's going on?
I don't hear it. So.
You guys, it's not. I'm just picking it up. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe that's just your body.
I went in there and Becca was like, "Where have you been?" I was like, "The show. You signed me up for the show." Like she said, "All good." Like, yeah, we're good to be on the show earlier in chat. You know what I mean? And I just looked at the chat and I was like, "All right, cool." Becca signed up. So I was like, "All right." Becca said, "We're good." I'm all right, cool. Just be there at 9, I guess. I liked it all. And so Becca forgot, and so baby is crying again, so I'm gonna go back to check on them. I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely important.
Yeah, for sure.
She's like, where have you been?
How close are you guys to harvest now, or did you just put one in there?
Oh, like 20 days maybe left or so. Probably less than that. 2 weeks.
I mean, it's day 50, 53. So.
Oh, you're good there then. You're pretty close.
Yeah, some are going to finish before the GMO, so that'll be in there hanging out for a little bit longer.
The last one probably.
That's okay though.
How much of that stuff are you gonna turn to extract or keep for flour? Everything to extract?
I think it's gonna boil down to weight at the end. It's because we've got 6 GMOs.
6 GMOs.
Yeah. Only 6 GMOs.
Only 6.
So I think it looks like that you guys are a little have different opinions on if it should be flour or if it should be concentrate.
Well,
I asked the same question.
I like to gift things, so I like to have flour, but then I also like.
Wait, why can't you gift concentrates? It's just a smaller package.
Not everybody has means to smoke concentrates.
I honestly like to have both still. I still probably, I don't smoke as much flour. I definitely dab more, but I guess it just depends on what ends up coming out here. I mean, Storm Shadow is going to go to flour. That's
You
not
can still like harvest colas. You can harvest like 2 or 3 colas off each plant. Just dry those, not the whole
yeah.
plant.
The only thing is with doing this in the one gals, plants are a lot smaller than
Oh,
typical. Not all of them, but like the storm shadow is still as big as ever, like normal. I mean, that's never. That bitch is, she just takes and takes and takes, you know, and then she just gives and gives and gives them too.
that's what we're doing with our pheno hunts. Is like any of the stuff that we really like or are interested in or think might be a keeper. We'll just take one cola.
Yeah,
We have a flower representation too.
it's such a good plant, and I mean, it when Fergoli did it for us, it turned out really nice too. So our motherfucking Jones is the only thing we haven't done anything with yet, really. But I don't think it will wash.
We don't even
So
have any this run either, so
okay, yeah, that sums
Don't have
that
to worry
up.
about that.
But yeah, the cherry paloma, that's good in flower and concentrates too. So that'll be really hard.
there's 2 cherry palomas and there's 2 storm shadows.
Yeah, see there we
One
are.
in each tent, and then there's 6 GG4s.
We've only got a few.
I mean, whatever.
GG4, that's always a good return too. Usually, if you do.
Yeah, it does. And I'm really hoping this GMO gets a good return too.
I'm turning another light on here at the house just so that I can get. I want to get concentrate from that bliss bud that I've created, and it's something we never get around to it. So I finally lined it up to have enough plants in veg now to do a light. So when they're ready to flip, I'm going to turn on another light and flip that, and then our next fresh frozen run, I'm just going to slide that in there,
Okay,
our concentrate maker, and get that too. And I'm excited to try that. And
that'll be good.
concentrate. Like you're saying, your motherfucking Jones is the only one that you haven't really.
Yeah,
Mine this bud that I haven't really done that with, and I'm excited to try that.
yeah.
So I've pressed it here, just the flower did a press, and it doesn't. I don't think it produces that well. Like you can tell, like Storm Shadow and GG4, you know, press
But I've not like done
just
a
flower,
test
they
wash
press
on it
good,
at
you
all.
know. So I can imagine it does well in washings.
Yeah, but so if it doesn't press good, it doesn't mean it wouldn't extract well. You could still go BHO walk,
Yeah.
right? And then
Oh yeah, you can
a whole
always
different extraction method. So
definitely.
that's what we plan on eventually, doing once we pick out some keepers that we like. If one happens to not do well one way, then we'll just process it the other way.
Exactly.
So you're basing the keepers off of what? I know the answer, but for
Effect.
everyone
What are you
listening,
talking about? It's off of effects.
again, I know the answer, but for everyone listening, maybe the first time that they haven't heard you say this so aggressively, what are you picking your vetoes for?
Something
Pardon?
that works when I see it.
I mean, I'm probably picking for terps at this point. I don't know because I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, all of my plants that we have, I know the effect of all of them, so I know they're gonna give me a good effect. So basically, I'm hoping that they taste good and hold everything that I'm actually like. I really like the buds to be a little bigger. I'm a little
Motor
more
breath
happy
would be
with
the
that.
only thing that I haven't really flowered all the way. Motor breath would be
Not
something.
you,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well,
It sounds, Tara, almost like you've like you talking terps is most important, but terps is most important right now for you because you've already nailed down the effects, so you know you're okay with the effects. So it's really like the effects still maybe are first for you. Terpenes coming next, and sounds like you did mention like the return or the bud size or something like that. So maybe that's competing for second, or maybe that's in third.
yeah, I
But
mean.
those,
I think effect is number one for me because I need a certain kind of medicine, and that's why the things that I have lined up in there right now is for full effect. I mean, all of them
right.
know what they're going to do to me. So, terp wise, I just really want to see them shine. So, fingers crossed.
and then
Right.
everything from drying to curing to all the way through
Or
with it.
or we cut it and fresh frozen
or
it.
well,
so
yeah, there's that too. Which,
it makes life a lot simpler. Because I think everywhere is going to get fucked up is going to be in the dry and the cure.
so let's pick a day we're gonna throw it in the freezer. You got to be there because I need you to.
I mean, I agree that the terps is important in a way, but to me, it's not the most important. The effect is always going to be most important to me.
I mean, I'm not gonna smoke it if it doesn't taste good. Like our
I am.
storm shadow,
If someone puts something in front of you that said this is going to get you higher than you've ever been in your life,
it doesn't taste
but
good.
it doesn't taste pretty, you're not going to smoke that. I'm going to smoke that shit.
I would
Yeah.
probably try it, but I don't know that I'm going to come back to it.
I'll probably think I'm not gonna come back to it. How about that? Because I don't even touch the storm shadow at all.
So you smoke for flavor. So you will smoke something that tasted good that didn't give you an effect.
Yes, I will literally be here for just the flavor experience if I have to.
So what do you smoke that's just a flavor experience for you?
Well, all of it is, but
Why not just chew
You
some
don't get a-
fucking gum?
You don't get high. Yeah, exactly. If I'm looking for food and flavor, I'll satisfy my taste buds.
Yeah.
with
yeah, well,
food.
I can't grow gum, but I mean, I guess maybe if I
we
could,
can-
I would
that's an
try.
argument in itself.
I also don't chew a whole lot of gum, but
I don't know. I think I'm not saying flavor is not important, but I think people are going out of their mind and convince themselves crazily that that's more important. No, we're smoking weed for the effect. We all are. I mean, in one way or another. I mean, if it was flavor, we could grow different things that gave that flavor, maybe. But nobody's doing that because that's not what.
maybe I like taking a dab rather than lighting a candle. You know what I mean? There's still
I agree
that
with that.
therapeutic experience there. And here's the other thing. Some people, and I'm not saying I agree with this, I'm not saying I don't agree with this, but some people will claim that any and all cannabis usage is medicinal, whether that's the intent or not. And so,
I would say
you
that
know.
any and all cannabis use starts out medicinal. I'll say that, but you could overdo it.
fair enough too. That's also a good way of looking at it, especially when it comes to edibles.
Yeah, I've done it. I've
I,
definitely done it.
I mean, maybe like 20 years ago, but I can't think of a time in recent history where I've like been able to smoke myself stupid, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like to the point where like edibles can get you like to this uncomfortable, unfunctional like place. I've never been able to do that with even.
I think it's
back-
our
back-
own
back dabs.
self-preservation because when we're smoking, we will instinctively stop before we go overboard. Whereas you can't put the brakes on an edible. It's going to give you that.
Right, it's already in you.
It's gonna give you that dose whether you want it or not. Whereas we're instinctively like, well, I'm getting too high. I need to sit down for a minute. I need to catch my breath. Where you can't get that with an edible. If you went too far, you just hold on to your butt and hope it's still there in the morning.
I think my throat hurts from trying to smoke
Yeah.
so much. You know what I mean? Like it's
Physically,
just
yeah.
like it's more of a physical thing.
Yeah, like when we were doing those baked and me and
Mhm.
Becca doing the flights,
Mhm.
that challenge was like, it's not that I'm too high. And I was plenty high, but I'm just saying it's not that I'm too high. It's that, yeah,
I'm uncomfortable.
yeah, exactly. I've been, inhaling 500-degree air for a while now.
yeah. Yeah, that's the next challenge is like bust out it's like a 20 pack of 10 milligram edibles or 25 milligram edibles or whatever it is.
I'll just keep
And
smashing.
you have to every like 2 minutes on the show or something take
Oh,
throw it back. See who makes it to the finish line. We'd have to do like a 4-hour show.
I couldn't even sign up for that because my competitiveness would make me eat more than I need to. And then I'd pay for it so dearly.
We'd all be like, all right, Spartan, you win. You'd be like, I'm not fucking done yet.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't say I quit. Give me
Yeah.
another 1,000.
Where's the finish line? I ain't hear no bell.
My son came over the other day and I asked him about RSO if he tried it. He said no. And I said, "Do you like edibles?" He goes, "Yeah, I eat edibles. They don't bother me." Blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So I gave him some pre-made out capsules of RSO that were they had 0.5.
0.5s, yeah.
So a half a gram each. So maybe 300 milligrams.
How fucked up was he?
Said I took one, waited a half hour, didn't feel anything, so I took the rest of them. I
Whoa.
I
said,
gave
wow.
him 3. Okay, so 1.5 in total.
I was like, wow. How was that? He goes, I got really high. I liked it a lot. I was like, you're a scared.
He said, my friend said I was a lot more tolerable.
like things that usually bother me just wasn't bothering me at all. It was weird. I was like, God damn.
I'm sending a group message on Instagram so I can pull it up on here. I think it might even be quicker than doing the whole Google Drive thing. But let's maybe open it in a new tab so you can't all see my entire chat history here.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, you don't want to know what's deep in there. So I went on a little vacation, and I took some extracts with me. I had that beautiful little Puffco that just loves to travel, and not quite near the end of the vacation, I realized I had consumed all of my beautiful live resin. But at the bottom of this Puffco that I keep dry and without water in it, there was plenty, because I didn't clean it out beforehand, which I definitely should have. There was plenty of reclaim at the bottom of it, to the point where this thing was actually getting clogged while trying to finish off this last jar. And so, well, I happened to be in a place that was nice and warm and nice and sunny, and I took this bottom of the Puffco and the top of the Puffco, and I angled it in such a way that the sun hitting it would kind of melt everything out. And yes, well, I was able to scrape the inside of the, the where the glass sits on the battery and get a solid probably gram out of that. It did take a little harumph through the glass piece to blow it out, not inhale, but blow it out the bottom. And I just slowly pushed this giant, approximately 2 gram worm of reclaim out of the bottom of the Puffco. Took all that oil, which is what you see here in this reclaimed raspberry parfait jar, and started coating cookies with it. And by golly, it worked great. I didn't have to heat this shit up at all. It lasted, I'm not kidding you, probably 6 to 8 hours. And it was kind of a roller coaster. It wasn't just a ramp. It was definitely a hello, it's going, it's back. Hey,
So it wasn't
So
sleepy?
if you're-
Didn't make you sleepy, or it kind of was going up and down?
Yeah, that was a fun plane ride. I was in and out of consciousness in it. But
Yeah, dude.
yeah, no, it works. And if you're ever in a situation where you don't have, we've talked about this before, like scraping bowls, right? This is my equivalent of scraping a bowl when it comes to Puffco
Yeah,
edible.
that's what this is for, is the reclaim.
Reclaim catcher, buddy.
Yeah, I could just take
There
my
you go.
spoon, suck it right out of there. Heck yeah.
Look at that. That's perfect. That's like fucking 1,000 milligrams of edibles right there. So I wouldn't normally do this, but I tested it quite a few times. Let me tell you what,
I would do
it
that.
works.
I would definitely do that. I think that's cool. I bet you slept good.
Yeah, it makes me think of so many times Subcool just like scraping out this giant like fingerful of reclaim and just throwing it right back, and like, yeah. Well, actually, you know what? I'll tell you what. I even took some of that and re-dabbed it. I was not all that mad about it. I've had worse.
Dude, we keep ours.
I dab it.
Yeah, we have ours in a syringe. We just suck it up out of it.
Then we
Oh,
just-
there you go. That's a great way of doing it.
Yeah.
And then just shoots it out to like a little snake onto the plate. And just
I
dab
fucking
that shit.
love dabbing
You
reclaim.
should shoot it onto a snake of a cookie and throw that cookie back.
See,
See, okay,
and just
that's
know that you're
interesting.
going to be
When I'm about to consume it.
stuck in your face for a
Guys I
second.
work with will eat reclaim. That's funny. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm interested in trying it. I've never thought to eat it.
Yeah.
Because it's already, decarbed and everything. I just re-dab it every time and figure it's a lot of CBN.
I got this
Yeah, I
new
think it
cheap,
definitely is.
this new cheap banger. I love this fucking thing.
Nice.
It's wide as hell, so you can put a huge fucking dab in there, and you're still only going to get maybe 1-2 hits, but it clears it all. It's pretty fucking dope. Like that little lip that little lip right there catches it, so the oil would go up and then fall back down rather than come up and.
I was gonna say I really like the shape of that. I really like the shape of that banger. That
Have you guys seen those new little inserts that look like a funnel that they drop in
I love that too.
and they fill it with the dab and then what is
Yeah.
that called? What is I texted Bake. I was like, what is this? I want to know.
The guy on Instagram called Caregivers Corner, caregivers.corner. He has a lot of those different
I
ones.
think
They're
that
cool.
might have been the
You
first
can
one.
preload your dab and put it in there, and as the heat it drips, it like falls down and
I
drips.
love that. I think that's so cool. But I don't know
Yeah.
what it's called and I want to know what it's called. Somebody tell me what it's called.
I don't know what that's called. Though.
Trigger corner on Instagram.
It's called the drippy dabby.
I had a dab marble set that was a marble, and then the middle marble was a marble, but it had a chain connected to it.
That was so
And it had
cool.
like 4 or 5. They were tiny little, chains, but it was like maybe 4 or 5 links on it. And I really liked because it was almost a slurper type, so you would drop that in, like where you'd put the pillar in.
It's tall.
Yeah, it was nice and tall and skinny. And you would put it I liked to put the dab on the chain, like on the like 3rd link or something, and put that in. And then as that heated up, it would just drip off of
And as
it.
she hit it, it would bang against the inside.
Yeah, and the whole thing would just kind of torpedo around. It was really cool.
That sounds
It was cool. But I think it was all glass, and that's eventually. it just
Yeah,
broke.
yeah. I forgot to clean it out one time. Like I left it
Oh,
after dabbing
Look at
And I
that.
went
Shout out.
out.
Look at the 6th one down. I want that one. It's a dry dab piece. Look at that. That's
Yeah, I was gonna use this one, but you tell me which one. Is there one
either
that's better?
one. I
I just
don't care. Either one.
okay. Shout out
Yeah.
Caregiver's Corner.
Yeah. See, he's got the dripper on the top that she's talking about.
that's a very
You'll see.
long banger.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah, right on the freaking nail below. That first one I think was.
Yeah, the first one was until he tipped it.
wow.
Now
That's
he's gonna-
surface area though, right? No puddling. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, if as long as you get that whole thing heated, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't show us heating it up. That might be a take a while.
Yeah.
Or have one of those devices that heats up the whole banger, whatever those things are called, the different ones. The Denial
Oh,
has.
the induction ones. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I
See
see. It's
your
just
part.
holding it at the top.
So is the dab
Oh,
inside of it or on the outside of it? It's on the outside of it. It's
No,
inside
No,
it's
it's on the
both. You
inside.
like
It's hitting the pillar.
you-
of it.
you just like
Inside.
jam it in there like it was a post hole digger. Almost,
Yeah, I
you
get it.
know?
I get it. Okay, yeah. And then it comes in and it gets heated up and then it
You just
falls
drop it in the dab and it picks up that middle bit. That
Oh
middle-
yeah.
punches a hole in it. And like, see, there's no water. I fucking love that. And then
Yeah.
Oh,
Although you can't stand it up, man. I would probably break this thing the freaking
Right?
second day
Oh,
I had
that wouldn't make it a day here.
Yeah,
it.
that's true. You need something to stick it in. Yeah.
it's a hot banger. You gotta like just hold on to it until it cools.
Yeah,
down.
walking around with this thing. Hold on, don't touch me. Don't touch you.
I made it. Look, it's my comment.
Definitely not bringing it to a party.
Yeah, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Well,
But
yeah, that's the
he's
only
got a
place
bunch
to
of
bring
those
us a party,
different
so you
ones.
can
He's got a
pass
bunch-
around and have everyone else worry about it. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
I just like the idea of removing the water component. It makes a huge difference on like the Puff Coast. It makes me want to hit Puff Coast without the water in it.
Is that the same guy that does the boxes? Just
Yes.
box
Yeah, it is.
flour and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's gotten
He's reached out, asked us to do it for the Tricone Forge, but that's just
yeah he's put our flour in some of his boxes. It's pretty
cool.
cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, shut up. He's,
He does. Yeah.
someplace.
But yeah, that's a pretty cool instrument on there. I actually haven't really had that many dabs lately. I don't bust out all that
Sorry.
stuff. Yeah, I am too. It was smoke in the garage, and Becca's not really smoking at all. Becca hasn't been smoking, and when she does, I mean, she's got her Dr. Dabber. Not much to dab. All of our dab equipment and everything's been packed up for a really long time. Yeah, I do dabs at the events, so that's nice. Third Eye Craft Fair, I get a chance to dab.
That's cool. It's always cool to get the new flavors. And I think dabs are the best way to do that. To give you, I mean, if you like flavors, I think dabs probably the best way out there. Even over, I I don't give up on flour, but still, if you're looking for flavor, that's where you want to go. I think still dabs. But I also think
100%.
if you're looking for effect, that you can't give up on flour. That's another reason not to give up on flour.
I also agree.
Because you can dab and dab and dab and then smoke a bowl of flour and be like, wow, what the fuck just happened?
And it will be significantly less THC in that bowl of flour than you just consumed in that dab.
Well, that's why I think
still
that
affect you, you know.
that's why I think there's something too, like when I brought up earlier about the filtering that product that you've already extracted for RSO. I think there's something in the flour. Maybe it's another component, another water soluble at least thing that we can ingest to get a medicinal effect still that we're getting when we're smoking the flour that we're not getting when we're smoking the extract. And that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to it. I think there's everything from consumption of the entire plant to refining it down to a single molecule. Quite frankly, you know what I mean. Like whether that's 99% THC in a distillate form or something like that. There is such a wide variety of ways of consuming this, and I don't know that there's any wrong ways. There's certainly I knew it was coming. There's certainly preferential ways. You know what I mean?
What about the difference in the way that generally most resins are live resins, right? Like most rosin today is living.
I don't know about most, but there's definitely a lot out there that's live.
I feel like it's less and less, actually.
Yeah, I think it's more on the craft side of things you're going to see live, but
yeah,
commercial.
I just don't know a lot of people that are using dried material. I feel like everybody's using fresh frozen.
Well, a lot of hash makers are attempting to cure after the extraction process now. They're not necessarily focused on curing before they process it. They're doing a form of cure after the extraction is done, whether that's a cold form or not. I'm not in this group. I'm trying to preserve the essence on the day of harvest, so everything gets frozen, extracted, and attempted to be held in place. But there's something to curing too.
Does do that, like what Fergulli's talking about. His is different than what Fergulli's doing anyway, because it's not BHO. But he also, after it's extracted, so after his BHO extraction or after, he does a cold cure. So there is at least usually a week, but sometimes at least a few days.
But is there something significantly different in that, like being in a contained vessel or something that is different than a flower sitting in a dry room at, I don't know, 60
They're
degrees?
definitely different. They're definitely different.
And maybe because I'm still
knowledge, I would just be saying, what process do I think would have the highest chance of preserving what I want to keep, and at the same time stopping things that I'm trying to prevent, like oxidation.
Well, my curiosity is, what if the effects are a product of oxidation, or what if they are a product of curing?
Some people are looking for that.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, that would be great information. Like, I would try to do something.
Well, I was thinking about it today. Like,
put one way and then try the other way and then try it.
I was thinking about it today. Like, we generally want our weed green, sticky. Some people want purple, but nonetheless, full of color, right? Whereas a product lacking chlorophyll would more or less be brown. So wouldn't we want our shit sitting out in the sun and like the only way you're really gonna like deplete chlorophyll is time, age, or just sunlight will do it for you. It'll bleach it for the most part. I don't know. I was thinking about like paint finishes on houses or something like that, and like this whole like sun intensity and like in the way
The
that
problem with sun though too is it also degrades it degrades our THC and all this other thing. It's gonna heat up the surface and we're gonna flash off terpenes. So I
And
think
if it's
gonna
bleaching
affect-
it, is it getting rid of the flavor that comes along with it, or is it just changing the color?
curious to know. I don't know. Where aren't the oils preserved inside the trichome head? I mean, I don't know. I don't know, right? But
Yeah,
they
what's
If it's a
going-
loose
do,
resin,
Well, what's going on with that chlorophyll though? If you put something, depending on what it is, like if you put the chlorophyll in the sun and it's actually fucking processing that sun into fucking sugars and shit, what is it actually going to do? Is it going to change?
that's what I'm
things?
saying. It doesn't just disappear. Like the color might, change, so to speak, but that it's not like chlorophyll just isn't evaporating out of your extract and leaving just the extract that you want behind. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially if you can do
Well,
it too.
well, I'm leading to like in a short way. I'm trying to get there, but I'm leading to like Acapulco Gold or something that's like, left out in the sun to dry and
Yeah.
much more of a brown cannabis that's like
That might give you a different
completely
effect.
different effect. You know what I mean? It's like a way more some claimed intense effect. So I'm curious if what we consider degradation is it actually preservation in a sense, or is there
Not of the terpenes, and that's what I'm after.
is there
But it
something
might be steering out. It might be steering a high, see, because it might be degrading the entire bouquet of it, but it's steering it to.
I'm
what you're
talking
looking
more
for.
of effect though, not
It-
flavor, right?
Me too.
Terpene
Here-
It's like the effect is
flavor,
modulated by the
right?
loss
You
of
know,
terpene,
whereas
right?
Here's the
cannabinoid
thing.
and
Let me-
different ratios would be effect. And like hasheen, like that doesn't even exist without curing. Like there's terpenes and
Yes.
cannabinoids that don't even
This is
exist
what I would say, Red. I
time
would say that there is, in my opinion, it is a overall degradation of quality when you allow something like that to happen. And I say something like that because it is a broad variety of post harvest things that can change it. But it's not, part of it is purpose. It's not always degradation in a negative way. And what you're talking about with effect and flavor, if it's purposeful, I would call that a maturation, because you are at that point maturing a plant. Even though maybe it's a degradation, it's still a maturation towards a goal that you're looking for. And maybe that's the effect. Maybe it's a high CBN thing that you're going after or whatever, right? Maybe it's a change in the terpene profile, which is going to happen too. We can call it curing. We can call it,
I
forgetting
good
about the
example is
jars
like
in your
maybe you're
tote.
trying
But
maybe you're trying to make a extract that's high in CBN, so you're trying to get a cultivar with the most CBN as possible, and you know that if you push a plant really long in flower past peak harvest time, which is generally a degradation because the THC is degrading to CBN, but your target is that CBN anyway. I think that'd be a good example to.
Well, the CBN is going to happen regardless of how long we grow it. Like you could harvest it 5 weeks early, and eventually you're going to get CBN if it sits in your cupboard long enough. You know what I mean?
Or you can push it past harvest and then get it at harvest.
You can get it more immediately,
Right.
right? But either way, you're going to get there. It's just a matter of
and
like
probably a lot more of it too if you're pushing.
you get
it
more of it. I mean, if you already are there, and then you and you let it sit, yeah. I mean, you're going to get a completely different profile. But ultimately, it's the profile that you're after. You know what I mean? And that
Right. So that's what it is. You got to identify what you're after. You got to figure it for sure. You got to figure out what are you after first.
And that I think sets. I mean, quality in, quality out, right? I mean, even if it degrades, it's still quality. Even if it turns to hash on the shelf for 4 years, as long as it's not being like, I don't know, rodents and stuff like that around it or anything like that. But like, cheese, right? Like we don't consider cheese like wine, like the vinegar, meads, ciders,
aged
beers.
steak.
So many things. Yeah.
Is that a good example?
Meats are a great example. I mean, anything that can be cured.
Steak never ages around me. It's
Anything
calm.
that can be cured.
100%, bro.
Cannabis is like the biomass is gonna dissolve, right? The cannabinoid is fortunately a fat and it's gonna linger. It's an oil. It's gonna linger around much longer than the biomass of the plant and the chlorophyll and the filament, the what's inside of a plant, cellulose and all of that shit that's inside of the plant. You know what I mean? Really, that's what you're smoking outside of the
And love, Red. Don't forget the love.
Well, the love, yeah. I mean, the love is within, of course, the cellulose. Cellulose spelled backwards is love. I mean, it's just has all the letters, of course. Love with a C, yeah. And then, yeah. So I'm curious where the effect change and obviously variety, that's going to play huge. Like you said, Spartan, does it, already contain a trigger for high CBN or something like that, or converting to hashing or any of that kind of stuff? Or what other terpenes are created after a 120-day cure? Or you know what I mean? Or what other
cannabinoids that we can't even we're not even aware of yet.
But which one of these are only being created when they're exposed to open air environments, and which ones are not being created because they're contained within a vessel and pressure and temperature are causing terpene fluctuation? You know what I mean? Like without terpenes being able to off gas, being contained, maybe some of these things aren't able to be produced. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's part of the exchange of gases. Terpenes are off gassing and other things are coming in and other things are changing. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why some of these other cannabinoids. And so maybe there's a lack of maturation that takes place when you do like cold cure and stuff like that. That's not happening when you're curing flour, because we're still on the topic of why does flour have this different effect, right?
I agree that that's possible, but I also have to look at the fact that people are taking great lengths to do these extra steps because of the end product and at least the experience that they're experiencing and with the end product.
My curiosity is it for appearance, like the clear? Everybody was going for the clear, right? But
part of it is for that. So
come to find out that it's lacking in a lot of when the more clear that you get, you pretty much just get to distillate, right? Or you get to like pure THC.
I wouldn't say that, because you're just getting less. Well, and the basic mindset of it is you get less contamination the clearer it is, because in the day of dry sifting a lot, or the even I did this, the dry, you put the dry ice in the bubble bag and you just shake the shit out through dry material, and you're collecting a lot of keef. That first few seconds, it's golden, it's beautiful. You go 30 seconds, it's starting to get darker and darker and darker. I think that's where the whole color to these extras.
But again, you're lacking without even contamination. You're lacking the full spectrum, right? You know what I mean? Like
full spectrum of what?
I don't know. Of what are you searching for? What we're still talking about the effects coming from flour, which are not in the rosin, and a lot of it is probably coming from contamination of the biomass and all kinds of stuff, right?
And yeah, it depends. It's
so the more
even define
the more like
because a lot of people are
clean you are,
talk is contamination, which is crazy to me.
Well, it might like the more clear you are, the more closer you're just trying to get to. You're trying to get to just pharmaceutical grade, like you're trying to get to like pharmaceutical grade THC. You know what I mean? So
how? That's exactly
and we
the
all
exact
know,
opposite. We're trying to capture the
just
essence of each individual plant that we're growing. We're not
Sativex.
We're not boiling it down
all of
to
those.
one ingredient. We're actually trying to capture
Am I
the
disappearing
full
again?
flavor profile that's available, including the one other
Okay,
ingredient,
everybody.
which happens to be THC. It has, I think it's far from pharmaceutical. I would say it's just a cleaner version of
Well,
what
I
we're
don't know.
going-
It depends on what he means by pharmaceuticals. It could, I mean, it's clean. It's clean like pharmaceutical. If you mean clean like pharmaceutical, I could see that. But if you mean like it's an isolate like pharmaceutical isolates it down to one compound, then I would have to disagree and be with you for Growly, because I think with them they're trying to. It's often even the slang, clean it up to you know, get it to be a more desirable color. And by clean it up, they mean clean up the color, which is usually by filter, which means you're filtering something out. You're cleaning it up. So, but at the same time, what are you taking out? Is that a medicinal thing? You know, I think that's a good
that's just
argument
it,
everyone's
right?
bringing up. You know,
Yeah, and I think there's the kind of cost versus benefit analysis you have to do. It's like, how much quote unquote contaminant am I taking out, and how much of the benefit am I taking out, right? But here's my thing. I don't really give a crap where that lies, because I want to get it to the cleanest, quote unquote, in my opinion, what I consider cleanest product or medicine possible. Because if I didn't want to do that, I would just smoke the flower. Because guess what? I grow the flower, so I can smoke the flower. If I want to smoke it as an extract, I'll just go extract it. I can do both at the same time. Like, and I do all the time, you know, but I just happen to prefer the extract. It's a different thing. And like Spartan said 20 minutes ago, doesn't matter how many dabs you want to take or for how long you're doing dabs. The second you go back and smoke a bowl or smoke a joint, it's just gonna hit different. It works different. I don't know if that's something stored in the fats or the lipids or the seeds or the stems or what it is, you know what I mean? Or it's just that little extra bit, but it's different.
Yeah, it is. I agree. If I have a stomach ache, and that's why I I choose it for medicinal purpose, and GMO helps me so much. And it's flour. I mean, I can smoke a dab of GMO rosin and not get my stomach ache to dissipate and go away. Whereas if I smoke a bowl of flour or a doobie, my stomach ache goes totally away, and I'm relaxed. It relaxes my inside. I just don't get that with a dab. I just get really high with a dab, but with a doobie or a bowl, that flour, I get the relaxation in my stomach that I need.
Man, a dab is one of the fastest ways for me to get when I have like all of my muscles are clenched up, and my stomach feels like it's just a tight cramp kind of a thing. A dab is the first thing that'll help me to be like, okay, let me take a full breath, let me do something else now, and then be able to pursue something else.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The differences, for each person.
then you'll take a gravity bong hit, and you'll be like, okay. That's
Yeah, I mean, a dab is like the first step in the arsenal, is what I would say.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop at a dab.
Right.
A dab is the first one where it's like, that's the hit to my face buffer, where it's like, okay,
immediate
now I can
effect.
grab something else. That's an immediate thing. So it feels like, a doobie, the way like a flower, you burning
It's
flower,
some-
going through that gets to you.
Something else in the quiver that we haven't even talked about it's a total different tool on the belt is edibles, right? Like we don't even really know if like the terpenes and the whatever else is in there really translates, because guess what, when it comes to making edibles, guys, the only thing we really care about putting in there is the THC at the commercial standpoint, and they're more concerned with
I know.
the delivery of it, whether it's nanoparticles or a distillate or a CO2 or whatever, then whether or not there's even terpenes or anything else in there. But that's I feel like a whole other rabbit hole to go down. Red, you were talking about before we lost you about the pharmaceutical grade or getting towards that. Can you explain?
Just isolation and getting as clean as possible, being a form of isolation.
So more about single ingredient.
Well, the cleaner you get, the closer to single ingredient you're going to get. The more you isolate it down, the more you filter out impurities, and eventually you're going to get down to what you're searching for. And if that's a lot of things, well, just leave it with flour, right? But if you're isolating and trying to get THC, eventually you're going to get pure THC. And you're
But
gonna
what
get
if I want that
pharmaceutical
full
grade.
broad spectrum of terpenes and cannabinoids?
And then you have a dirtier product. You have something with a lot of.
Dirty to who though? Because I wouldn't consider that dirty. I'd actually consider that more refined.
Well, we're using the word dirty as meaning bad, but dirty as in a lot of stuff. You know, it's cluttered with things other than cannabinoids. It's still got a lot of
So
stuff.
is pharmaceutical grade only interested in the
Oh, we're not
cannabinoids,
talking
or
about dirty bad. We're talking
100%.
about
Pharmaceutical
about
grade
the
is
turkey girl.
straight THC plus whatever they're using for filler.
so really it is just about the tetrahydrocannabinol is what
Yeah,
pharmaceuticals
what
about.
what I was saying is back to the point of most resins are harvested living, they're frozen, and then they're processed right away, and then they're put into a vessel to cure. Whereas flour is hung dry in an open air room, and it's open air exchange for 3 weeks, allowing gas exchanges to take place, including terpenes to evaporate off. What I'm getting at is, could the difference in flavor have something to do, not difference in flavor, difference in effect have something to do with those maturations differences and gas exchange differences and differences in terpene profiles? And maybe just because we have lots of terpenes doesn't necessarily mean lots of effect. You know what I mean? Maybe those terpenes also need to mature and or off gas or change into something else. And saying that like you can have dark colored hash and it still have a lot of terpenes in it and still have a lot of cannabinoids, and just because it's dark in color doesn't mean that it's a poor product or of lesser quality. It just means that it's probably cured a lot longer or has been, because a lot of times the trichomes, they go from that milky white into a darker color. And if
But
that's
I don't think anyone on this panel is going to disagree with what you're saying. I think that maybe the purpose or the intent behind, again, in my example, capturing the essence of the plant is about capturing what that plant beholds on the day of harvest.
And that's totally fine.
Hold on, but I also don't think anyone's
talking
going
about
to disagree
effect.
with you that the effect is going to change at the time you harvest it, for how long that cures, matures, the different terpene profiles in there. Yeah, all of those things are going to have an effect on the effect, right? It's just, what's the purpose or the intent behind you as the harvest or the creator of the end product? What is the effect you're going after, right? And that's less about terpene preservation or anything else. It's about a desired effect, which all those other things become secondary too. I don't think anyone's going to argue that it's a lesser product if you have
I never
a
said
fucking handmade
I never
resin
said
ball that looks
anything
super
was
dark,
a lesser.
right?
I never said anything was a lesser product. And I never said any of it was an argument. I was distinguishing why we might have a difference in flour having a different effect than resins, because most resins are harvested living, is what I'm getting at. And I'm saying that I think that the more psychedelic effect is coming from curing. It's not coming from living plant material. You guys don't let me talk. You guys, I don't know, whatever. Either way, there's no argument. Everybody on this panel agrees that we're not arguing. In my opinion, we're discussing the difference in effect on dried cured material. I'm not trying to say that anything. And I had a terrible connection. And you guys were talking about clean looking product, and the more clean and clear that you get, the more closer to pharmaceutical grade THC you get. That's what I'm saying. You have less impurities. You have less terpenes. You don't have any terpenes. If you're completely, what color are your resins? Are they clear? Would they ever be completely clear? Probably not, because they have terpenes in them. They have oils. They're cured. You know what I mean? So to speak. But they're not. They're living, live resin. It's contained in a vessel. So you're not getting the same gas exchange as flour hanging in a room. So we're talking about the difference in curing, right? We're not debating. We're not arguing. And we're definitely not talking about which is a better product. We're talking about the nuanced differences between methods, in my opinion. That's all.
And that's all I was getting at least. If anybody else was taking it any other way, I apologize. So that's where we were going. Either way. 22 minutes left.
Yeah, and I think
Rock
it's
and roll.
I think the biggest difference between the lives either resin and rosin, I think it applies for both. Like harvesting it fresh and freezing it right away. What that does is it like almost locks it in time at that point, as far as you slow down the degradation of the plant at that point. And then when you do that extraction, you're extracting it at that point and not allowing degradation in that what you would get with time and what you would get with temperature, especially. That's what you're going to experience when you're drying, because you're going to get to definitely warmer temperatures than freezing, and you're going to have a longer time period. Because I don't know, anywhere from 7 to 14 days hang time, depending on who's doing it. It's not a lot of people are even doing 14 anymore. It's starting to shorten that a little bit. But even that time is, we can say at least a week that you could have degradation for that time hanging and the exposure to air and oxygen. Whereas when you're frozen, you don't have it as much. So I think that's the idea, at least, behind fresh frozen and locking in those terpenes that we're smelling at harvest, and locking in as many of those volatile terpenes, because those are the ones that we have to really work on preserving, is those ones that are easy to lose. So when it comes to fresh frozen, I think that's the biggest difference, is for sure. Maybe it's not even a difference in the like if we could identify all the different fucking compounds, which they still haven't done. But if they did, maybe they're still there. They're just there at different concentrations in the end between the two products. But I definitely do enjoy the experience of the live resins and the live rosins. That's for sure. Just hands down trying them. It's some of my favorite stuff to smoke. But I enjoy hash too. I really do.
I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, you preserve the essence of the plant, you're going to get the best flavor. I don't know where, the conversation went from effect to flavor, but those can be they can be the same conversation, can be two completely different conversations. But
Absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah.
We were talking about effect. So that's where I was at. I mean, flavor can be a totally different thing too, but flavor doesn't always necessarily mean effect. You know what I mean? Like, you can have great flavor and it might not have the best effect.
Right. It doesn't have to be. I was saying the concentration of the medicinal compounds. So whatever those are that I'm assuming control the both flavor and effects. But I mean, if you want to talk about just effects, for sure, it's still, I think it's true that the number of compounds is going to be higher in a fresh frozen.
And absolutely. I mean, when you just look at just science and base just any of that kind of stuff, right? Again, I'm not a chemist. I don't know anything about chemistry, but when you colder temperature, obviously off gassing, if we're trying to hit numbers on a performance sheet, you know what I mean? You want to keep the most possible, right? But numbers on a performance sheet don't equate to what goes on psychologically and psychedelically when you consume it, right? So, like, the different combination, and then their different
right, which is
terpenes being created, different, things that are.
I can have less medicinal compounds, but a more psychedelic experience, is what you're saying.
Well, just because you have a certain percentage of a flavonoid doesn't necessarily equate to a certain percentage of a cannabinoid being retained in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the cannabinoids aren't off gassing
No, they're high temps
at a low temperature. You know what I mean? So, flavors are going to affect effect. But I mean, the cannabinoids are really giving you the majority. That's the whole reason for the ensemble effect in the first place. Otherwise, you could just, go eat an orange and get some limonene if you wanted to. You know what I mean? I don't feel the same way when I eat an orange. You know, I'm eating 5 oranges a day. You know, I don't feel the same way when I smoke cannabis with limonene in it. You know what I mean? As much as I love high flavor cannabis, you know what I mean? I just think that there's something different in associated with the different combinations of the cannabinoid themselves. And to get there, I don't know. It depends. And I don't think that quality matters in the, you know, it's all in the eye of the beholder. You know what I mean? In that respect, it's, you have quality with cured product, you have quality with living product, you have quality. Either way, it all depends on what you're trying to capture. You know, if you're trying to capture terpenes, then you need to do it alive. You know, if you're trying to capture, I don't know, a full, you know, cured profile, then you got to cure, you know, whatever, you know, either or. It all depends on what you're after. But as far as numbers goes, if you want the highest numbers possible, then yeah, you need to cold capture immediately while the plant's alive. You know, I'm not necessarily one that believes in numbers being the all tell all. You know, numbers are great for quantifying and experimenting and things like that. But as far as like effect, I need to try it. I need to smell it. I need to taste it. You know, and my taste buds are different than AI. You know, my receptors are different than the baseline that they study from. You know what I mean? Everything's studied from a baseline. You know, baselines are different. All baselines are different. Every human is different and unique in many different ways. So we have generalities, generalizations. You know, we can common like trends, you know, you can base things on, but everybody's going to be different. Right. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's like a lock and key when it comes to the endocannabinoid system and each person's physiology and what they're even looking for, like if they're treating themselves with it or if they're just looking for a recreational high. And for sure, that would be two different. Of course, the end goal means everything, right? What are you looking for? And that would determine what you're looking, where you're looking.
Well, my curiosity comes in the point to where what are we, I don't know, like I mean, even when we're drying and curing cannabis, right? This goes for dried, cured cannabis, this goes for living cannabis, fresh, frozen. I mean, everything. But at what rates of, I don't know, noxious smoke, like the different temperatures we use, is smoldering doobie. You know, when we're talking about carcinogens and things like that, we're, you know, obviously vaporizing seems less harmful. But then when we're vaporizing, like what parts of which terpenes, maybe not necessarily in quantities, but which terpenes have different carcinogen rates or volatilities even? Are they, if they're low temperature off gassing, monoterpenes are off gassing at low temperatures, like what are the different temperatures at which they're going to go carcinogenic or any of that kind of stuff, you know? And I mean, does it even matter? You know what I mean? Like, is it even?
I think that matters a lot because I know that like at really hot temperatures, like that's why back in the day when they get those nails super red hot and do those dabs, some terpenes were carcinogenic at those temperatures, at those hot temperatures for sure. I would have to do a Google search and try to find it again, but I think it's pretty hot temperatures still. But I mean, I think if you're under 600 degrees, you're probably pretty safe to not be switching things over to carcinogenics.
What's funny is THC is somewhere in like the 420 range or something.
Where it evaporates out.
Yeah, it's funny because it's that number. It's pretty much like
That is
that
cool.
number. It's and then
Really, that would be like if you think about it, that would be like the best is if you could get whatever it was, if you knew like the highest temperature at which you had to evaporate everything in the whatever you had that you were consuming, whether flour or dab, and you could set like an e-nail device or something or vaporizer to that exact temperature, so you're not 1
Like
degree
the
above.
cap of your, like before you breach into the carcinogenic range.
Like you're just evaporating everything you want 100% is keeping at that temperature and nothing higher. Yeah, that would be like
what I think is nice about those e-nails and like Dr. Dabbers and stuff like that. Or
yeah, I agree with you. And
Volcano.
even in the volcanoes and the
Yeah.
and even the what was the other thing I was thinking? Shit, I can't think of it now.
especially Volcano being able to do flour and stuff like that.
I like the volcano because then you can even let it cool down if you wanted to. Then you're inhaling it at a lower temperature.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Is it kind of holds it? Although I don't know how long it. Any idea how long you can hold it in one of those bags? How long it's good
Somebody
for?
told me a decent amount of time.
Like a day, a half day.
Oh, I don't know about days, but I meant like.
I mean, how
long.
big of a bag can you fill up and just kind of chill with the homies?
You just have
know?
a gigantic bag wrapped around your house. You're like, hey, push on my wall.
It
The
probably
whole
just turns
closet.
into like a resin seal around the outside of the bag after so
Yeah,
long.
just get inside, start
You'll
licking
look
it. I guess.
equipped.
You gotta flip it inside out. You gotta get your reclaim off the inside.
Reclaim off the
bag.
bag.
Oh no!
God damn.
I am actually very curious to know though if there's like a
That's what I was
because there's got to be like a half life or something like that, right? Like that.
I don't think they're. I don't know. I've never had one, but I thought they were single-use bags, but maybe they're not. Maybe you're supposed to use them over and
I
over.
always thought there's pretty much single use. I've never gotten that like okay, so good part of the same topic is even with flour, I haven't gotten like the same effect. I feel like just hitting a bowl, I get higher than hitting like a volcano.
I've never hit a volcano. I've yet to hit one, so I don't have an opinion there yet. Everybody tells me I need to.
I mean, it's definitely a smooth ride. You know,
I think
I heard
Red-
that's lacking high, and that's what somebody
it
told me.
might be temperature.
I think it has to.
Well, I think it's that and the directness of it too, because I think it's very similar to taking like a low temp dab versus those close to red hot temp dabs. Because think about the bowl, not the bowl, but the flour in the bowl is getting red hot. You know what I mean? I don't think it's necessarily 900 degrees or whatever, but it's probably close to 700. I don't know. I actually have no idea. We should probably look that up.
There's a white paper,
feel like we
and
have.
I've never been able to find this white paper aside from the time that I came across it. And so one of the variables that we're actually not talking about is decarboxylation rates in different temperatures. So the white paper went on to say that when you smoke something from a bowl and you're directly hitting it with a flame, your temperatures are higher. You're going to decarboxylate more effectively and faster when you're smoking it compared to when you're smoldering a doobie, right? You're just smoldering a doobie. It only is so hot. It's not as hot as a flame, but it's hot enough to burn, you know, but it's decarboxylating at a lower temperature and at a slower rate. So you're actually, the efficacy of what you're smoking, even though you're smoking a 30% THC, you're only getting whatever it is, 10% of that. You know what I mean? Because some of it is being wasted on it just burning off to the atmosphere. Some of it's being, I think it's burnt
Stuck to the
away.
inside of my bowl.
yeah. Other reasons that you're just not getting it. So the efficacy goes down based on the method of delivery. So maybe there's an efficacy
thing also that we're missing between flour and resins that would make a flour more
I think
feeling, even though they're not quantifiably more potent, right? I mean, flour is 30% and the dab is 70, 80, 90%.
I have to think that the method of delivery has a lot to do with it, because I'm thinking now about, like, you know, a water bong versus like that dry pipe thing we saw Caregivers Corner sharing us, and how much it's going to cool down too, right? You might be taking a 640 degree temp dab at the nail, but at what temp is that actually, you know, getting delivered to you? And then is that enough? You know, that's got to play into that efficacy thing, right? I think.
Well, how much you can how much of that? I mean, if you're talking about temperatures, and you know, you can only fit so much of a certain temperature gas in your lungs, but if it's a colder temperature, you can fit more of something in your lungs. Temperature would play a lot to do if it's a cooled vessel.
Yeah, and think about it, like a dab that's like 600 degrees. That's kind of a hot dab nowadays. And a big lighter is what, like 1,200 degrees or some crazy high amount. So
Is it really that high?
Dude, do a Google search. Like, what is my big lighter?
So
Confirm that.
So
Crazy.
maybe there's a decarboxylation rate, and you're not
Oh,
decarboxylating
absolutely is. That's a good point.
the resin as much as the bowl. Because I could smoke a whole doobie, and I'll get just as high as if I just hit a bowl a couple times.
1,000 degrees.
Yeah. I really didn't think it was that high.
And what about a wick? Would a wick be that same 1,000 degrees because it's a flame?
No, a wick is going to be hundreds of degrees, like 100 or 200 degrees. Do a
even
hemp
though,
wick.
even though it's burning.
How much is a hemp wick? I'm
I
saying
was going to look at candle wicks. I don't know if
I guess you'd have to find out its flashpoint of a candle wick or a hemp wick.
Well, that's why you use hemp. I like using my hemp wick for when I'm burning hash and things like that, because I go into a lower temperature. Say hemp wick.
What?
It's a candle, dude, with wax burning on it.
Yeah, the wax could make a difference.
Okay, fair enough. Flame. Okay, well, what color is the flame?
What color is the flame?
Yellow. Yellow.
It's 1,200.
I guess.
I don't know. I got to dig deeper.
I wish I could find that white paper again. It was pretty interesting. I should have saved it. But it was like, I can't even think of what research center it was through or anything like that, but it had to do with smoking flour through a bowl and a joint. And yeah, it was super interesting.
So I asked Gemini, and it's saying that a big lighter, I said, compare the temps of a flame on a big lighter compared to a hemp wick. And they said a big lighters like those from Big produce a flame that can reach very high temperatures around 3,500 Fahrenheit. And a hemp wick burns at a significantly lower temperature, generally around 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. So about half, a little bit less than half. There are places online that give a broader range of temperatures, but this is according to Gemini. So,
yeah, I'm having a real hard time finding exactly what temperature. I've seen some forums and questions being asked exactly that. What temperature does hemp wick burn at? But and I see a lot of articles, like even on Leafly, saying it burns. Hemp wick also burns at a lower temperature than a lighter, meaning that it's smoother and that there's more potential to appreciate terpenes. And I believe that it's just like, how much, is it a 10% difference? Is it a 50% difference?
I don't have my hemp gun or my gun here, but I got my hemp wick.
Right. I know. That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, I think that a laser thermometer might give us at least a general range.
I could try to stick my thermometer up against it and see how.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
See what it tells me.
Try it. Do it.
I feel like this is some MacGyver stuff right now.
Just don't light the beard on fire.
Yes, no beard on fire.
Good. I had to find a lighter, man. They always walk away from me. All right, so we got a hemp wick. I'll put it right in the fire.
Oh lordy, here we go.
It kind of puts it out.
Yeah, you could still light a bowl with that.
It's still getting up to $9.99, which is maxing it out. So it's got to get to at least 1,000.
Maybe it is that like 1,200 range or something. It's the lighter's gonna obviously do the same thing. It's just gonna max the.
Yeah, that's just If it goes to 3,000, according to,
Do you got a big lighter? Do you got a lighter?
I have lots of lighters. Yeah, I got a big.
Do the same experiment. Do it with the lighter. Let's see. Let's see if the wick company is just shitting on the Bic lighter.
You don't think it's, you don't think it's gonna max out to
It's all a
3,000?
scam. Oh no! Don't do that.
Oh, it's climbing fast. Yeah, we're already at 7. I'm afraid to light this bitch on fire.
Yeah, I don't want you to ruin
It's
your.
the 9,999. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I don't
got
want you to ruin
it
your
maxed out.
It probably maxes at that.
Sounds
We'll
like
leave
a
it
line
at that.
from a movie right there. 9999.
All 9s.
I see you, Nut Tree. I see you. You know what I'm talking about. He appreciates history.
Oh boy.
Oh goodness. Well, I don't know what like so lighters, hemp wicks, e-nails. Is there like a what's the cleanest way to hit it? Like if you guys had to smoke, I mean everything from down to the way you're lighting it to the device you're using to the, I guess what you're consuming.
Have you guys
He just busts out the camping torch.
have you seen the ball vapes? Fluff's Garden has been smoking and using this ball vape. And Debbie Hayes has one. I think his is called, what is his called? I can't think of what it's called. But they were calling it looks like an e-nail, but then you put a top on it and it's like convection and you stick it on top of your rig and you just inhale it that way. But there's like no flame. Check it out, ball vape.
Yeah, I think the indirect heating is probably your best bet because you're not breathing in additional carcinogens.
So what do you say when they're hitting it? You taking that bomb, putting it in your mouth? You taking a big suck on that? I don't think I'll pass on that, man. I'm sorry. I'll pass on that one.
We call it off gassing.
Oh.
Well, guys, it's 11 o'clock.
Fine. I guess you guys can find us here next week. Tara wants to be done.
I gotta get up for Cincinnati in like 4 hours.
Shit. You guys have a great night. Love you.
Safe travels. Love you guys.
Keep going, everybody.